Hi, Dr. Rudy Kachmann. Welcome to our wellness show. This is very interesting and a follow-up on previous shows that we've had here on stopping, preventing, reversing type 2 diabetes. It's a world epidemic. It's a national epidemic. 1 out of 2 people is pre-diabetic or diabetic. The problem is that most of them are undiagnosed. I know this for certain based on many books about public health, medical school, are not teaching it to attack it. We have an invasion of this disease. We must get rid of it because it is associated with so many chronic illnesses that could be avoided. So I'm trying to save you suffering. Can you imagine the medical costs involved? Imagine the drugs you have to take. You can get rid of type 2 diabetes, which I'll be talking about. That's 90% of diabetes. Has about 20 to 30 diseases attached to it, okay? You can get rid of it in about a month. Yes, in about a month. And I, full of scientific evidence, I have it with me here, and it's a total shame that we in medical care are not attacking this. This is the real epidemic. It's not Ebola, or it's not the real epidemic. This is the real epidemic, and that's the reason I have a free TV show on it for you to watch every week, 6:30, Compass 57. I also give a free lecture at Lutheran Hospital you can attend once a month, attended on the same similar subject, teaching you about wellness. So what about type 1, type 2 diabetes? What's the difference? Type 1 generally is more common in children, but we're seeing it a great deal in adults now, and I'll tell you why in a second. In children, it's mainly autoimmune disease. Our pancreas gets attacked by a virus or bacteria, and it kills it. We have no insulin to put sugar in the cells for energy, and before 1920, almost everybody died. Then Bentley and Best invented insulin, and we were able to save some of the people. The problem is now is that type 2 diabetes, which is caused by insulin resistance, and I want to show you what that is. Every cell in our body has on it receptors, just like here, like your fingers. They're sticking out and they're waving and they're wiggling, and they're looking for insulin to push the sugar in the cells. These are the door openers. This is where drugs work. If you take some morphine, they hit these receptors, it hits the cell. Candace Pert, 1972, are the ones who saw these in the electron microscope. She saw them wiggling away, and then she discovered many more neuropeptides that hit these receptors, okay? In diabetes, insulin cannot get sugar into the cells because the receptors are made sticky by triglycerides, fat. Sugar gets converted to triglycerides, makes these sticky, and sugar cannot get insulin into the cell. So when you do blood testing, the sugar may be normal out here. Sugar may be normal, but the serum insulin is elevated, trying to push the sugar in the cell to open the door. And the pancreas is working and working and working, trying to do this. And eventually the pancreas poops out. And then the blood sugars just go sky high. They may even go down because you're dying, okay? So there's stages to diabetes, which I will discuss to you. The most important thing that I'm going to bring up, so type 1, no insulin. Type 2, too much insulin, but until the pancreas dies completely, then the insulin level goes down again because the pancreas is dead. You can get a C-peptide test that tells you the status of your pancreas, okay? Just get this test to see where am I at, because some people who have type 2 diabetes can still, if they follow a proper way of eating, can get rid of the type 2 diabetes, and the pancreas is still alive, so they avoid having to take insulin. Yeah, C-peptide test is the test. What about screening? Myself, No one's doing this, but I myself think we should start screening kids at age 1 every year, and then put it on a graph in a book or on the computer, and then we can see the changes in the triglyceride level and the fat level and the blood sugar level, HbA1c, and we will see when you're approaching pre-diabetes, lose 5-8% of your body weight, and odds are type 2 diabetes, goodbye, goodbye, avoiding about 20 or 30 illnesses. Yeah. So to me, testing is critical. To me, you're not totally what you eat. You're not totally what you digest. You are what your blood work is. That's you, okay? So because people aren't that hard on reading books, actually, I've had a hard time getting doctors to read great books like End of Diabetes by Dr. Furman, okay? Goodbye Diabetes by Wes Youngberg. Goodbye Diabetes. Okay, I'll tell you more about these later. Really, meet a doctor. Ever read them? I mean, if you say goodbye to diabetes and end of diabetes, don't you think those are important books? I went to the head of public health, state of Indiana, Dr. Adams, who's now the Surgeon General of the United States. Pence appointed him. He hadn't read those books. Is that believable? It's not believable, but it happened to me. I went down there. Yeah, I went down there. That happened to me. I want to get rid of the diseases, not just take prescriptions or insulin, and they have side effects. These drugs sometimes are life-saving, but they have side effects. So I put together this one-page sheet here. Tuesday at the Lutheran Auditorium, I give my monthly lecture. I'm giving it on stopping, preventing, reversing diabetes. I'm going to hand these out free. You can pick one up. You can go to Three Rivers Pharmacy by Concordia High. I see people there for free every Friday. You can pick them up for free there. And this lists the tests. What I'm saying on the sheet is type 2 diabetes is preventable, stoppable, reversible 90% of the time by proper lifestyle. It's an epidemic. Isn't that Ebola is killing us? It's not foreign nations that's killing us. It's type 2 diabetes that's killing us. I'll even show you the side effect. It's epidemic, okay? And what's scary is in pre-diabetes, the years that lead up to it where you show no symptoms, but maybe your serum insulin's elevated, maybe your triglycerides are elevated. Oh, you don't have diabetes, but they never checked the serum insulin, okay? If you have a pot belly, unfortunately, this is a judgment-free zone, okay? If you have a pot belly, you're probably pre-diabetic. Yeah, get the proper testing. They may say you don't have it because your blood sugar is normal. Means nothing to me. Serum insulin leads the way. Triglycerides lead the way. So hip abdominal measurement, a belly measurement is almost better than a blood test. You get a pot belly, you're pre-diabetic, 90% chance, okay? If you have elevated blood pressure, very good chance you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, okay? The test to get is a 2-hour glucose tolerance test. You fast overnight, then you pull a fasting blood sugar, and a serum insulin, your doctor won't order it, you insist on it, okay? Then repeat 1 hour fasting blood sugar, serum insulin, 2 hour fasting blood sugar, serum insulin. You will have a darn good idea whether you're pre-diabetic or not. I mean, other tests you can do which help, run triglycerides, remember? HbA1c is not a good screening test, but a good maintenance test. It catches you way into the disease. I want to diagnose you earlier. Remember I said the complications of diabetes can occur in pre-diabetes, unannounced heart attacks. You grab your chest and you die. 60% of people die from heart disease. Have no warning, no angina, nothing. They just fall over. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that. LDL, the lousy cholesterol, HDL ratio is a good one to have. That's the heavenly cholesterol, the HDL. CRP, indicating the amount of inflammation in your body, is a good test. Triglyceride HDL ratio, maybe one of the best tests. And the HbA1c. That's all the tests I need. You can add to it a VAP test, an NMR test, or cardio IQ test, which will tell you how much of the big cholesterols you have and the LDL you have, or the little ones. The little LDL, the particle size and number, the little one is what burrows in the intima of the blood vessels, and every crack or bifurcation in the blood vessels. That's the enemy, okay? The big LDL bounces through the vessels, is almost irrelevant, yet they'll recommend statins and all sorts of things of the big LDL, irrelevant. It's the little one. It's the low density one, the particle size, particle number. If your CRP is elevated, you probably have inflammation, maybe medication, okay? Another way of testing is Dr. West Youngberg, goodbye diabetes. He went to the island of Guam with the Amen Society missionaries, and he found that the natives there were 95% diabetic because they were eating American food and Spam. The island had been flattened by the Japanese. They destroyed the agriculture. We Americans brought in food, and they ate our food. We turned 95% of the people on that island diabetic. I saw pictures of them. They're all like this versus the skinny, beautiful natives they used to be when they eat fish in their own plants, which they were growing. Dr. West Younger, so he had a lot of experience, was there 15 years. Developed a method of testing, which is all on this sheet, and it shows the progression to diabetes, very well explained. He puts it in 5 different stages. Kaiser Permanente in California uses this. It's excellent. And Mark Hyman, Blood Sugar Solutions, you can print his stuff off, about 70 pages free off the internet. At least I did. I'm not sure, I don't know if that changed or not. The 5 stages to diabetes, like stage 1, the blood sugar is, you do glucose tolerance test, and the blood sugar is normal, fasting, but the serum insulin is elevated, bang. We know you're diabetic, you lose 8-10% of your body weight, disease is gone. He will say your blood sugars will be normal in a week. A week. I know that from reading many other books. Franklin House's book, The 30-Day Miracle, published many years ago. I've never met a provider who ever read it. Yeah, a great book, saying the same darn thing. Dr. Furman, End of Diabetes. He's a friend of mine. I go to his conferences. I met him in tennis last time we met. End of Diabetes, yeah. End of Vascular Disease, all Furman's books. You've seen him on the Hour Show. He's coming to town in September, incidentally. Look at my website, I'll tell you where and when. He's going to stay at my house. He said he wouldn't come unless he could stay at my house. It's a true story. And, but he teaches the same way. And books that I wrote because I'm concerned. I'm trying to change the culture, so I wrote a book called The New Slavery. Yeah, we're slaves to sugar. 50 years, the FDA, Ansel Keys, CDC, NIH, all told us fat was the problem. It was industry lobbying that did it. They lied. Mark Hackstead from Harvard, he lied. They all knew it too. They all knew it too. They caused this help, and through fast food formed the obesity epidemic, the majority of which are diabetic. All could be avoided. If you see somebody with a pot belly or weight, they're diabetic, 90% of the time. I'm serious. So the sugar, we're slave to sugar. We're slave to sugar. Certain racial groups, ethnic groups, are more likely to get diabetes because their genes have been changed through slavery. That's the reason I use the word slavery. They didn't feed them anything. It wasn't based on race. They were just the slaves, okay? And what did they eat? Sugar cane to keep alive. They were starving to death. Okay, no breakfast, no lunch. So they supplemented their diet with sugar cane that changed their genes in their body so they're more sensitive to sugar. Yeah, I think probably 90% of the ones who were slaves, their relatives, are diabetic. That's 70, like the rest of us, 90. Yeah, yeah. So I teach in about 4 churches because of that. They don't know that. I provide this information. The government ignores it, okay? I don't. Have saved many lives. I see many people in these churches who've had their legs amputated because of diabetes. Let's look at the back of this thing. and I show you the complications of type 2 diabetes, and I'll review those with you. They can be avoided. They can be avoided, and you have to be aware of those. Let's start in the head. A lot of dementia is not Alzheimer's disease and memory loss. They say, oh, it's Alzheimer's disease. Eli Lilly will tell you that. They spend $1 billion looking for the one drug for Alzheimer's disease, didn't find one. I'm not surprised, because insulin resistance, which I've described to you, combines with the sugar combines with the proteins in the blood and deposits in the brain, interferes with conduction. So insulin resistance and IGF-1 are the causes of dementia. I have the scientific papers at home. You want to argue with me about it? You don't believe me? I'll show you the scientific papers. Yet, I rarely do I have anybody discuss that the biggest cause of dementia, memory loss, is not Alzheimer's disease, it's diabetes. And that's preventable, reversible 90% of the time. Let's get to work. Dementia, cataracts, blindness, commonly visual loss, commonly caused by type 2 diabetes because of microvascular disease, small vessels. That's why they have numb hands and numb feet. I have a friend I played tennis with who lost recently a lot of vision. Microvascular involvement. Strokes, thyroid disease, gum disease. In the old days, Queen Elizabeth, all her teeth were black. Why do you think? She could afford sugar. Other people couldn't afford sugar. And she'd have a vascular disease, her teeth fell out. They turned black. Can happen from smoking, but hers was largely a sugar thing. Unannounced heart attacks, lung disease. The biggest cause of liver transplants in the future, which will be very common, is liver disease from too much sugar. Yeah. And renal transplants, which is sort of end-stage kidney disease caused from diabetes, preventable. Yeah. I don't think it's been well tested if you're a stage 1 or 2 kidney disease that you can't reverse the deal. I don't think it's ever been properly tested. Stage 3 or 4, I doubt it, but you don't know. I haven't seen any studies indicating they've taken ones with stage 1 or 2 kidney disease, put them on a nutrient-dense diet, a little bit of exercise, so whether the kidney function returns. I had a patient recently I did this to, and he got rid of his dialysis catheter. One case doesn't prove a thing. We need big studies for that. Amputations, common in diabetics. First, you don't heal the wounds, and then amputate the toes, then the ankles, then the lower leg, then the upper leg, occasionally even the arms. And all could have been prevented by eating correctly, proper lifestyle. So let's spend a little time here on how to do it, okay? If you don't like to read, for example, and I put plenty of books for you, would get Dr. Furman's book, Eat to Live, Quick and Easy, the cookbook, not the Eat to Live book, but Quick Fix is the name of the cookbook. If you were to cook this way, which is in breakfasts and smoothies and snacks and beautiful recipes, you could open the book to any one of those. And here I got one here, very veggie burrito or enchilada, for example. Every one of these recipes tastes good, is healthy. If you were to cook out of this for a month, 90% chance you don't have diabetes. What do you want? You don't go blind, you don't go numb, you don't get amputated. I forgot to mention one of the first symptoms of diabetes is inability to sexual dysfunction, have an erection. That's 3 years usually before, because of, you know the answer already, microvascular disease, okay? Remember the retina of the fingers? Yeah, that precedes it, usually about 3 years, microvascular disease. This all can be avoided, okay? Don't just start treating it when you got it, okay? That can turn it around, no question about it. Not every case so, but prevention is huge. So to get this Eat to Live cookbook, I think would be a good one. 15 pages of general discussion. It'll go through smoothies. I highly recommend, you know, a smoothie is kale and vegetables and fruit and an apple and a banana and curcumin. some protein from plants, for example. I have a smoothie every day, put it in a straw. I may put it in the car on the way to work and drink it, or that's my breakfast with some oatmeal. Like today, I have a smoothie every day because it meets my nutrient needs. The vitamins, the minerals, the phytochemicals satisfy my nutrient need, turns my appetite off. And if you eat this way, eat all you want, because you'll stop eating when your nutrient need has been met. You're like the sheep in the field where there's lots of food. He won't stop eating till he's eat that last plant that fulfills this nutrient need. You're the same, okay? Let's face it, we have most of the genes of animals, okay? We're related. And so if you eat the nutrients, they're much healthier than taking them. I know people take 150 supplements. That's ridiculous. All they're doing is providing work for the liver. You want to eat that nutrient in the food it's made. Maybe at most some vitamin D, omega-3, that's about it. I wouldn't take any other things. Even multivitamins, mostly unneeded. Your liver's got to detoxify. They work nowhere near as good as when they are in the original food, okay? So this diabetes thing has excited me a bit because I can help so many people, okay? And here's one I wrote: the scam, the racket, the fraud of type 2 diabetes. Well, isn't it really a racket that you eat all this fast food and they hand you a pill? Here's your metformin. Instead of saying, would you please lose 10% of your body weight and your disease is gone first? Well, this is an emergency. I'm not against medication. But if other things might work, you can do them at the same time. Check with your doctor. But isn't it a scam? Isn't it a fraud? A racket when the government doesn't spend its time teaching you how to diagnose it early, how to prevent it, how to stop it. It's an epidemic. Really go at it. Instead, they make so much money from the lobbying money from industry, the sugar industry, for example, that's well documented in the history, that they support the price of sugar, they support the price of corn, all the things that are making us sick. The government supports it. Well, what do you think? They're lobbying money to the congressmen. Yeah. So isn't it a scam, a racket that they don't change? Yes, it is. I put it in a book. You might read it. Because I'm doing this because I love you, okay? Because I care about you. Then Furman wrote a book, The End of Diabetes. He's very famous and a friend of mine. A very good book. Matter of fact, the original hard copy, my name's on it. I reviewed it for him. He put my name on the back. I think we sold 2 million copies. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this works. The books of Mark Hyman, Blood Sugar Solutions, I like a lot. But this is what I totally teach out of. But I love, if you look at Mark Hyman's DVD, he will say very early in there, if you start eating right, 70-80% foods of color, fruits, okay, 80% or so, your blood sugar will return to normal in about a week. I didn't say no meat at all. Even Dr. Furman, 20% meat, but make sure it's organically grown meat. You see, what you eat, if the animal eats bad food, you're eating bad food. Yeah. If the fish is made in a pond, they feed it genetically modified corn, you're eating corn. You're not eating salmon, you're eating corn. It has to come from the ocean where the fish ate the algae, a plant, which is in the proper nutrients. Then you're eating the proper omega-3 fats versus an animal. You notice a difference in color in the salmon. If it isn't real pink, it probably came from a pond. There's a great tendency today to raise fish in ponds, and then you're eating it. Same with a little bit of chicken, 30-40% fat. They put it in a cage. They kill all males at birth. They feed it genetically modified corn. 32 days, they kill it, and then you eat it. Most chicken doesn't even have bones because it never stood up. So you got to pay attention. Where did what I'm eating come from? And I make a quick mention of milk too. Read a book. I want you to read a book. Don't just pay attention to me. Called Whitewash by Joe Keon. Joe Keon. If you read that book, If you drink milk after that, I would be amazed. Okay? Cow's milk is meant for baby cows. Our 5,400 mammals all make different kinds of milk, and we shouldn't be drinking the milk of another mammal. Their proteins, their carbohydrates, their fats are totally different. The casein, the protein in milk, is very carcinogenic. Most of us don't make the enzyme the lactose enzyme to digest the sugars. Asians don't have the enzyme at all. Blacks maybe 25% do. Whites maybe 50% do. And nature designed it that after age 4, we lose that enzyme, okay? And milk will cause a lot of rashes, increased rates of cancer. It can cause type 1 diabetes. That's been proven. That has been proven. And I can show you the papers. A lot of times I've noticed the pediatricians are not aware of that, and they'll even recommend it. Did you have your milk today? Have you read Whitewash? No, I haven't. Well, I point that book out to them because recently my yoga instructors' children were having asthmatic attacks all the time, diarrhea all the time, and I had them check in to get a gluten test and stop the milk for a month. Guess what? Everything cleared up. It wasn't the gluten, it was the milk, but it can be the gluten too. We need to gluten test a lot of people. Then Dr. Furman wrote a book, and it's really true, Fast Food Genocide, Dr. Furman, okay? The industry has pushed this upon us, that we're eating fast food, but honestly, if you learn how to cook and probably read, and especially Mark Hyman will talk a lot about that, or use this cookbook from Dr. Furman, you can fix meals quickly. Dr. Hyman won't eat dinner. His family won't start dinner until he comes home when he's part of the cooking process. I recommend that. But as a neurosurgeon, I would say I never would have had a meal if that occurred. But if you have the chance, learn to cook yourself. If you're eating out twice a week, it's a problem. I know plenty of multimillionaire people in town who have huge businesses, but they're very unhealthy. They got pot bellies and they eat out twice a day. They're going to have illnesses and die young. Yeah, we saw it recently. We saw it again recently. Okay, some of them smoke, and so you got to pay attention to what you're doing. You drink a lot of alcohol? Are you smoking? What am I eating? Look what's on your plate. What's on my fork? What's on your fingers? How are you using your feet are very important for good health. Watch my other shows. You can go to YouTube, Kachmann-health.com. My YouTube's on there. You can go to Facebook, Kachmann, Live to be 120. I post 10 minutes there every week. If you'd like to be seen in person and coached, go to the Three Rivers Pharmacy every Friday. I see people there for free. And you get one of a handout showing the other things I do, free lectures that I give. Why do I do this? I'm a doctor, and I care about you, and I care about you. But to make things happen, though, you got to do some of the things, but it's not difficult. Yet it's just a huge thing to eat right all you want, no diet, and you get rid of most of your diseases and illnesses, and dementia would go away. So, and I do it because I love you. I care about you. So watch our other shows, attend some of our lectures, ask questions, talk to us, and namaste, and you have a great day, and we'll see you again, maybe next time.